Just outside the quiet coastal town of Charleston, hidden behind tangled oak trees and rusted iron fencing, stands what remains of St. Agnes Orphanage, or what's left of it. Most locals avoid the place entirely, not because of ghosts, though people do talk about these, but because of something far stranger: children. Children that were never recorded. The orphanage opened in 1912, run by a small Catholic mission meant to house children who had lost their families to illness, poverty, or the occasional hurricane that battered the Carolina coast. For decades it appeared ordinary, quiet, strict, orderly. But the early 1950s, something in the records began to look wrong. Official documents listed 43 children living in the orphanage, but school registries in Charleston listed 58 students arriving daily from St. Agnes. 15 extra children, no names, no birth certificates, no church records. No one knew who they were. At first, administrators assumed the numbers were clerical errors. Then the disappearances began. The first was a boy named Thomas Redding, age 9. He vanished during evening prayer in 1953. No open doors, no broken windows, just an empty seat in the chapel. 3 months later, another child disappeared, then another, and another. But here's what terrified the staff. The total number of children inside the orphanage never changed. Every time a child vanished, another appeared in the morning roll call, always quiet, always pale, always listed as new arrival. But there were never any adoption papers, never any intake records, just new children, watching, listening, and speaking only when spoken to. The nuns tried asking them questions: where did you come from? Who brought you here? Every answer was the same: from downstairs. At first, the sisters assumed the children meant the basement. But St. Agnes didn't have a basement. The building sat directly on a raised stone foundation. There was nowhere underneath it, yet night staff began hearing sounds. Soft footsteps beneath the floorboards, children whispering below the dormitories, sometimes laughter. One winter night in 1957, Sister Margaret, the night supervisor, reported something even worse. She woke to the sound of children marching through the hallway at 2:13 a.m., barefoot on wooden floors, dozens of them. But when she opened the dormitory doors, every bed was full, every child asleep, except for one thing: their feet were muddy, as if they had been walking somewhere underground. The next morning, Sister Margaret inspected the chapel floor, and that's when she saw it. A thin crack had formed in the stone tiles beneath the altar. Inside the crack there was dirt, fresh, wet, as if something had been digging up from below. And buried in that dirt, she found a small object, a wooden toy, carved roughly with a child's name, but the name wasn't listed anywhere in the orphanage records. It read, Samuel. When Sister Margaret asked the children who Samuel was, every single child in the room turned toward the chapel floor, not toward her, not toward the door, down. And one of the quiet new children whispered something that froze the blood in her veins. He's still coming up. Sister Margaret didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. The wooden tie sat on her desk in the small administrative office, the name Samuel carved crudely in its side. It wasn't the toy that bothered her. It was the dirt, fresh soil, inside the sealed chapel floor. By morning, she had convinced 2 other sisters to help investigate. They moved the altar aside and pried up the cracked stone tiles. At first, there was only compact earth, but then the shovel struck something hollow, wood. They dug carefully. Within minutes, they uncovered what looked like a small wooden door buried beneath the chapel floor. No hinges, no handle, just a square panel of old planks nailed together from the inside. Sister Margaret hesitated before pulling it open. The smell came first: wet earth, rotting wood, something older and sour. Beneath the panel was a narrow shaft descending into darkness, not a natural hole. It had been dug, the walls reinforced with rough timber supports like a tunnel, and at the bottom, footprints, small ones, barefoot, hundreds of them pressed into the mud, leading deeper under the orphanage. The sisters stood frozen at the edge of the shaft. Children did this, one whispered. But that was impossible. No child could dig tunnels like that unnoticed. Yet the footprints continued in both directions, going down and coming back up, as if the children had been traveling through it for years. That evening, Sister Margaret checked the dormitory roster again. The number still read 43 children, but as she counted the beds, she reached 44. She counted again, still 44. One extra child sitting quietly on the far bed near the wall. A boy she had never seen before, pale, mud dried along his ankles. He watched her calmly as she approached. "What is your name?" she asked. The boy tilted his head slightly. "Samuel." The room seemed to drop 10 degrees. "Who brought you here?" she asked carefully. The boy's eyes drifted toward the floorboards. "Everyone else." "Everyone who?" "The children below." A long silence filled the room. Then Samuel smiled silently, not a child's smile, something older, patient. They said it was my turn. That night the sisters locked every dormitory door. They sealed the chapel entrance, and they nailed the wooden tunnel shut again beneath the altar. But sometime after midnight, the marching started, bare feet in the hallway, dozens of them. Then came the knocking from below, slow, rhythmic, from beneath the chapel floor. By morning, the chapel doors were still locked. The altar hadn't moved. The floor tiles remained sealed, but the wooden panel beneath them had been opened again from the inside, and Samuel's bed was empty. In its place sat a second wooden toy, this one carved with another name, Margaret. When the sisters found the toy with Margaret carved into it, panic spread through St. Agnes, not because of the name, but because there was only one Margaret in the building, Sister Margaret herself. By afternoon, the church ordered the orphanage closed temporarily. A priest from Charleston arrived to inspect the property. The first thing he demanded to see was the tunnel. Workers removed the chapel tiles again and opened the wooden panel. But this time the shaft was different. The mud footprints were gone. The tunnel walls had collapsed inward as if the earth had shifted overnight. Only a narrow opening remained, just large enough for one person to crawl through. The priest insisted someone investigate. Sister Margaret volunteered. No one knows why. Some say she felt responsible. Others say she wanted to prove the children were lying. Carrying a lantern, she climbed down into the narrow passage. The tunnel sloped downward beneath the orphanage, 10 feet, 20, 30. Then the wooden supports changed. The wood was older, much older than the orphanage itself, and carved into the beams were symbols no one recognized. As Sister Margaret crawled deeper, the tunnel suddenly opened into a small underground chamber. Her lantern light revealed something chilling. Children's toys, dozens of them, wooden carvings, cloth dolls, old metal whistles, all of them handmade, and every single one had a name carved into it. Some names matched the missing children from the orphanage records, but most did not exist anywhere in the files. Then she heard something behind her, footsteps, small ones, soft in the dirt. When she turned around, the lantern light revealed a narrow tunnel stretching deeper into darkness. And inside that tunnel, children were standing, watching her, at least 20 of them, all pale, all silent. Their clothes looked decades old, some even older than the orphanage itself. Sister Margaret tried to speak, but one of the children stepped forward. It was Samuel. His voice was calm, They told you not to open the door." "Who did?" she whispered. Samuel pointed deeper into the darkness behind them. "The first children." The ground beneath the chamber suddenly trembled. Dirt fell from the ceiling, and from the deeper tunnel came something else, a slow, scraping sound, like something large dragging itself through the earth. Samuel looked back toward the darkness, and then at Sister Margaret. "They're coming." The lantern light flickered, and then went out. Sister Margaret never returned. The orphanage closed 2 weeks later. The building was abandoned in 1962. For decades, the tunnels beneath St. Agnes remained sealed until 1998, when construction workers renovating the property uncovered something beneath the chapel floor. Not tunnels, not bones, but dozens of small wooden toys, each with a name carved onto it. One of them read Samuel, another read Margaret, and the newest one looked freshly carved. The name on it had never appeared in any orphanage record. It read, "Visitor."